Everyone in this world starts as 8 years old and doesn't have a father or a mother. That's just a thing.
I've never wanted to have sex with a pot pie, but like, I'd have sex with that pot pie.
We're all weak to stepping on nails.
Let me preface this by saying I wrote a script.
Daytona Beach is like 2 mild inconveniences from being a post-apocalyptic wasteland anyway.
So many of my tabs say semen.
Just gonna Google old Western women's names. You can't handcuff me for skanking.
This motherfucker gaslights you.
Diet Coke and Sorrow will be chapter 4.
And against all odds, Kyle, we became those swirly weirdos.
This whole podcast is a very negative mouthfeel.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and most importantly, how there's an anime high school for just about everything. I mean, think about it. There's an anime ninja high school, an anime superhero high school, several anime high schools exclusively designed for murder, and an anime volleyball high school.
Is there an anime volleyball high school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there sure is.
There's a new volleyball anime on Netflix. I haven't watched it, but I want to.
The issue I have with your answer is that, Andrew, yours was informative. Kyle's, yours sounded like guilt.
I have not
Like
watched
you were
it.
ashamed that you knew about it, whereas Andrew was like, well, yeah, actually. And Kyle's like, yeah, man.
I mean, yeah.
As I've personally proven in prior episodes, there is an anime high school for everything.
Yeah, even Kabaddi. There's going to be a Kabaddi anime.
It's true.
A Kabanime.
So, do you guys remember like halfway through last year when we boldly challenged listeners that, you know, if they paid us $50 over Patreon, that we would literally talk about anything they wanted, and we sucked out or we expanded our chests and said, "Come at me, bro."
Step 1, fuck around. Step 2, find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought we would like pick up an extra episode here and there. And aren't we booked until like July or something? Like
We are booked at the time of recording until at least late spring of 2021.
We're booked for the rest of our goddamn lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so let me give you a little background here, for faithful listeners. A fellow member of hashtag Buttthwomp Nation, Derek Harper, called my bluff and challenged us with the impossible. So, as your resident weeb, I'm here to talk about an anime that is as beloved as it is long.
Naruto?
It is not Naruto. This particular show has more than 950 episodes in Japan to date, and is still on air.
Still going strong.
Still going strong with no one in sight, baby. So, hoist down the sails.
Hold on to cut you off. I needed to like quantify that for myself because 950 is a lot to like visually represent. There are 639 episodes of The Simpsons.
Yep.
Yes.
There you go.
That is, if you're gonna make comparisons, that's a really good one. Like, imagine sitting down and just watching The Simpsons, like, because The Simpsons is on Disney Plus, like you can totally do that, and then add 5 more seasons.
33% more.
So
Right.
for further context, Saturday Night Live, which has been on the air since 1975, has 898 episodes currently.
There you go. Yeah.
Good
So
Lord.
if you watched every episode of Saturday Night Live, part of that, and we don't need to cover too much, but part of that is because Japan shows don't do seasons like we do.
Yeah.
They're more kind of fluent. Anyway, I'll get back to it. So gents, hoist the sails, batten down the hatches, and other nautical terms, because today we are talking about Shonen Jump's One Piece.
Woo!
I'm super surprised you didn't make a joke about a poop deck.
I did.
There's
I almost
a lot
did,
of time
and
for
then I
poop
forgot.
deck jokes, Todd.
Yeah.
I have been writing these notes since about 2 p.m. today, so I just didn't make it to it.
That's fair.
Because of that, because I've only watched One Piece for the last month and a half. Jesus fucking
You
Christ.
got it. You got it.
Since I've only watched One Piece literally for the last month and a half of my life, I've asked some friends of mine to cover me for me for certain facets of my daily life, like work and family and whatever else, other things that don't matter. So to show them my gratitude, I've brought in Matt, Lieutenant Double Iron Fist Full Body Cole.
It's my favorite Netflix Marvel superhero.
I think only could be your favorite One Piece character. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think
there's
that's anything
equivalents.
else.
Kyle Gaiman, the treasure hermit Harper, and Todd Hotchon, the octopus fishman Thomas.
Excuse me while I Google image search that.
Oh, I love Gaiman.
I love Gaiman too.
He is a big. He's got a big
rules.
what? Tree afro?
Yeah, it's a tree fro.
Oh, what's wrong with this character? This is
Hotchon
like
is not as good as Gaiman.
This is like the Fishman version of General Grievous.
Yes, he actually is. He fights like General Grievous too. To join me, and the three of these guys are going to join me on this high seas adventure full of fun, friendship, and crippling abandonment issues.
Boy, okay.
I have to see Lieutenant Double Iron Fist full body before we continue.
That last sentence did not narrow down anime at all. That is every single anime.
No, it sure didn't. And boy, howdy, if you guys like pirates and daddy issues, you're gonna love One Piece.
Okay, full body looks like a Instagram influencer.
Yep, full body is. So these are all kind of bit part characters. We're not gonna get too much into them. They're not super important, but I'll mention when they appear. Gaiman specifically is like a whole self-contained story that we're not gonna cover today. But he's a fun kind of side romp. He's definitely filler episode.
Gaiman looks like a character that Mario would bump into that steals all of Mario's shit, and you have to spend a whole side quest getting your shit back from Gaiman.
Yeah. I think that's pretty appropriate.
How far from the episode he's in is that?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
So before we jump in, let's do the traditional flavor text thing. Let's go around the horn. And each person, why don't you just tell me like what, if any, visibility or experience have you had with One Piece?
Yeah. Kyle?
I've been told to watch it by my brother, the sponsor of this episode, on more than one occasion. I know it recently crossed its 1,000th manga issue within the last month or so, and it regularly bubbles up into my Reddit feed, but other than that, not much. There's pirates. Yep.
I found out there were pirates when we watched those videos you sent.
Yeah.
All I knew was kid with stretchy arms. That's it.
Yeah.
To go just off of what Matt said, Andrew shared with us prior to recording the intro to One Piece. So I've now watched the intro to One Piece. I also knew of Pirate with Stretchy Arms. And what I did learn from the intro is that the power of friendship is the only compass north you need when you're on the sea.
That's right, baby. And for what it's worth, I didn't either know much about this show until I started watching it. Part of the reason, so I remember when it started getting really popular, it was around the time that Naruto was the thing. And there's reason why, but when I remember when I'd hear the show, I just always assumed it was a melodrama about a teenage girl who's like into swimming. That's just what.
One Piece. I get it. It took me a minute.
That was what I just assumed, and I never realized that it was about pirates or stretchy men or mutants or superpowers or anything.
I know when I would come across it on like Toonami or whatever. Mm-hmm. They did not play up the pirates nearly enough.
No.
Because if they would have said pirates at all, I probably would have watched it then. But
and think about it too. I mean, this hit early 2000s. That was like the height of pirate fever. And
prime Pirates of the Caribbean time.
So there's some interesting history that I want to get into before we get into the episodes. So let's start by let's talk about first the manga. So obviously, when you talk about One Piece, this is going to be similar to kind of when we talked about Studio Ghibli and some of the animes that we talked about before that. You know, it all started as a manga. One Piece appeared as part of the weekly Shonen Jump, which we've talked about before. But just as a quick refresher, Shonen Jump, you know, it's basically like kind of like the Marvel of Japanese manga. I mean, these are your most mainstream. Shonen Jump it owns the heaviest hitters: Dragon Ball, Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh, Hunter x Hunter, Bleach, My Hero Academia. I mean, all the biggest names in anime can be connected back to Shonen Jump. Interestingly enough,
sorry to cut you off. When did we talk about that before?
Probably when we talked about Evangelion.
Ghibli. Okay.
Evangelion.
Got it. All right, cool.
So interesting enough, One Piece was it was originally released in July of 1997, written and illustrated by Eiichiro Oda, and who is still creating it today. So it is the same author who has been doing it for 20 plus years.
Holy shit, man.
It's wild.
Yikes.
I mean, I don't think that exists in any US comic, does it?
I am almost sure that Jack Kirby had a run that long.
Okay.
On one comic, though, I don't know if
I was gonna say that's
the key there.
Yeah,
is-
that's
one
my
comic
wonder.
series,
Yeah.
not one company, one comic series.
I would think that Jack Kirby is the only comic author I can think of that would have the possibility outside
To
of
have
like
that much.
maybe a Dark Horse or an indie that I don't know about, but
So One Piece is enormous. I mean, we've talked about Evangelion being like this huge cultural phenomenon. One Piece is anime. I mean, when you talk about modern day current anime, One Piece is considered to be, it's one of the big three. I mean, it is Spider-Man. It is the Spider-Man of anime, right? Like the big three, Naruto, some people would argue Bleach, and One Piece. Like those are probably the heaviest hitters in modern day anime.
Dragon Ball's not in that.
It's not really considered. That's more considered classic because it's
Okay.
post 2000s.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm just saying anime words, but Death Note?
Death Note is never got the the popularity and the notoriety that notoriety.
Notoriety.
Jesus Christ. Death Note never got the notoriety that some of the other ones. Notoriety.
Yeah.
Because it's short. It's just self-contained.
Got it. Okay.
One Piece is the best-selling manga and comic series of all time. And that's any comic series. It's sold, since its original run, as of April 2020, it has sold more than 470 million copies worldwide.
Wow.
One Piece has, and this is, again, any comic series of all time. One Piece has been recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the most copies published for the same comic book series by a single author.
Damn.
470 million is another instance of a number that like
I can't fathom that.
I can't conceptualize like how big that is, but I'm sure it's big. Like I would need to know like the next two to wrap my brain around that.
At least to grasp how big that number is, 470 million. In 2019, there were 328 million people in the United States. So that means a copy of this for every single person, and then another third get the second copy.
Well, let me put it into perspective. So One Piece is the number one on this list. Number 3 on this list is Peanuts.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Whoa.
Right.
What's number 2?
Number 14, Garfield.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number two is Asterix, which I've never heard of.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Dragon Ball, number 5. So
Damn.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that is
One Piece is a
wild.
big deal.
Yeah.
So naturally, the success of the manga, I mean, this was prime opportunity to adapt this incredibly, incredibly popular franchise into a series. And so One Piece, the series, aired in October of 1999 in Japan. And obviously it too quickly rose to the top of the charts for top TV series, remains one of the most popular anime series to this day.
Looking up Asterix real quick. So it is a French comic that has been around for almost 70 years.
Okay.
Fuck.
So like, there you go.
It's like if Tintin or Bone like still put out
Yeah.
at a high volume. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks to be that same kind of energy for a French comic.
Andrew, for a aspiring weeb, where's the best place to start watching these? If they came
we'll
out
get
in
into it.
1999?
That's part of the reason why we're doing this today, and I actually had a long conversation with Derek about this. So the trick with One Piece is that it is a very linear story. It's, like we used the example of The Simpsons earlier to say, like, what if you just sat down and watched season 1 of The Simpsons, right? Like nobody needs to do that because Simpsons is formulaic, it's episodic. You don't need to do that. With anime like One Piece and Naruto to some degree, like Naruto has a time skip where you can kind of jump into the Shippuden, but you still don't really know who the characters are. That's a story for another day. One Piece really is. I mean, there is a time skip in One Piece, but you really have to start at the beginning. And so what we're going to cover today is what's considered to be is the first major, call it saga of One Piece, which is called the East Blue Saga. And it is a series of, I think, like 8 or so arcs. And it's really intended to introduce all of the main crew or the main cast of characters of the Straw Hats. Originally, when I had planned to do this, I thought we could get through the first 2 sagas, which is the first 130 episodes. We're not going to do that.
Good Lord.
We're going to get through the first 70 episodes, and then part 2.
The first average run of your average American show.
Yeah. The first of The Office. Right. And because that would be like doing an entire flavor text on every single episode of The Office, which is insane, we are going to talk about just the East Blue Saga. And then actually, spoiler, we're going to do a part 2 to this because Derek paid for not 1, but 2 episodes of One Piece. So next month, dear listeners, you're going to hear about the Alabasta Saga, which is the next set of episodes in the One Piece world. So that will cover effectively the first 130 or so episodes. Real quick, I want to talk about the English dub before we get into it. So there have actually been 2 different English dubs. And we'll put it in the show notes, but beforehand I sent these guys links to 2 very different One Piece openings. Now, the first opening that you saw is called We Are. That is the official dubbed version of the original opening. That version is from the Funimation English dub, who currently owns One Piece. Funimation, again, they own Dragon Ball, again, a huge tour de force. They own My Hero Academia, big deal in the anime world. But actually, before 2007, there was someone else who owned One Piece, and that was 4Kids Entertainment.
Man, I know. I remember that company. They did Kirby Right Back at You. That had the very the very Creole King DDD.
Yep, this is Saturday morning on the WB Kids 4Kids Entertainment.
Hell yeah, I had a 4Kids Entertainment compilation CD. It was one of the first CDs that I owned.
Yeah.
When did 4Kids go defunct?
Let's talk about 4Kids. They don't exist anymore. Believe it or not.
They had a show called Funky Cops.
Yeah. They struggled. They hung on for a while. And they, because Pokemon, they were basically just a Pokemon engine, but they do not exist anymore.
Looked like. Go ahead. I have a date here that I think.
Go for it.
A lot of their shows ended December 27th, 2008.
Yeah, that tracks. Let's talk a little bit about the 4Kids dub. So in 2004, 4Kids saw the writing on the wall, saw the money that was being made over in Japan, and said, "We got to get this One Piece over to North America, boys." And they did. And had they watched a single episode of One Piece, they would have realized that One Piece isn't really for kids. It's about pirates and violence and murder and drinking and drugs and ogling women. It's
all the things pirates do.
All the things pirates do. And it's not, it's no Attack on Titan or Cowboy Bebop, but it's not a kid's show. It's no Pokemon or Digimon. And that's, many will remember, and Kirby Right Back at You. Many will remember that was 4Kids bread and butter. So what happened was 4Kids had this thing on their hand, and they were like, "Oh fuck, we got to censor the hell out of this." So in 2004, what aired on originally Fox Kids and then later Toonami was a heavily edited and watered down version of One Piece. And as you would imagine, it was terrible. They did not use the original opening, which is, again, the aforementioned We Are. Instead, they recorded a One Piece rap. Very good at that.
Chef's kiss.
That did have huge 4Kids Entertainment energy.
4Kids is real bad about not trusting Americans to understand anything about Japan. I know they famously, that's why every rice ball you see in Pokemon is called a donut.
Yeah, that's one of the most famous. I mean, there's a lot. I highly implore you to go through YouTube and look at just old anime censorship through 4Kids. For example, for One Piece, it was pretty notorious or pretty egregious, if you will. All visible blood was removed. 2 characters that are constantly seen smoking were now magically really big into lollipops. Many action scenes were trimmed down or actually cut entirely. Any references to Japanese food or culture was, quote, Americanized, a la the Brock's famous jelly donut. Any religious themes were removed, and most guns, my favorite, because it's armies, it's Pirates versus Marines, there are tons of guns. All guns were changed to be toy water guns.
What?
Wow.
It's really good, bad. And of course, any cleavage or any female body proportions, if you will, were changed, glossed over, cut,
toned down,
all that stuff, toned down. Interestingly enough, and again, let me be clear, for kids entertainment, they did not watch a single episode of the show before they did it. One thing that One Piece does, I think, is a really good part of or element of its storytelling is there are no filler characters. A lot of the characters they introduce that feel like they're one-offs actually come back. So it'd be like watching Pokemon, and when they stop in the Saffron Pokemon Center and they're helping out such and such girl with her Chikorita, then you never see that person again. Imagine if such and such Chikorita girl came back 100 episodes later and was like, "Hey, remember me?
I'm relevant now."
Yeah, that's a One Piece thing. And what happens was they started cutting all these scenes and removing these like bit part characters to try to cut down the number of the episode length. Well, these characters would come back and make these really important like plot points in these major arcs. So they had to then like cut around and omit entire episodes to make sense because they cut these earlier scenes.
Oh.
And so they actually had to rewrite like and major plot points for like why the crew is in certain towns. They had to completely rewrite. So actually 2 years later, this eventually migrated over to Toonami. So some of you might remember actually seeing this on Toonami, where you would have seen the One Piece rap. But also why like One Piece was never popular at this time, obviously because it was terrible until it was re-released by Funimation in 2007. So the 4Kids dub ended as mysteriously as it began in 2006, toward the end of the Alabasta saga, which I mentioned we'll cover next time. And the producers just made up an ending where everyone dies and drowns at sea.
So like Lost.
Yep, they just blow up the ship and they're like, "Yeah, everyone's dead."
Total Lost. Okay,
Wow.
screw it.
Yeah, so that's the 4Kids dub. It's gone forever. You can probably find it online, but
why would you?
Why would you? The voice acting is very bad. It's very cheap. So then enter in Funimation. Funimation brought it back in 2007, and it's very good. I think the English dub. This is one of the best English dubs. You've heard me say. I think the new Evangelion English dub is really good. So the Studio Ghibli dubs. Any English dub with a lot of money behind it is going to be good. Similarly, like the My Hero Academia English dub is very good. This is the Funimation people, so a lot of the voices in the Funimation dub are people from Dragon Ball, Full Metal Alchemist, My Hero Academia. You'll start to hear a lot of the same voices, and we'll get into some of those major characters. So yeah, let's talk about One Piece, guys. Woo!
Yeah, I'm in.
So real quick before we jump in, I just wanted to touch back on something from earlier, which was Jack Kirby and if he had written on a comic for that long. And I did find an example, and I do think that Jack Kirby is literally the only person I can think of who did this, but he worked with Joe Simon on the Blue Beetle for 25 years.
Wow.
From 1939 to 1964 when the Blue Beetle was revamped. So
wow, I wonder how like frequently they were putting out issues. That was like a monthly would be my guess.
So that's the thing, is that it was a very regular release, but around World War II, when there was a huge crash in comics, it did have a couple of gap years. So that 25 is probably more like 21, but yeah, 25 consecutive years working on the Blue Beetle for Jack Kirby.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
One Piece. So One Piece is set in a fictional world, obviously, that is covered marginally by these wide swaths of oceans, peppered with little small islands. So think Wind Waker, basically. If you go on, so there's going to be, we've got an image library, which will be in the show notes, and they are numbered accordingly. So you guys go up to the image library and look at image number 1. And that is a little example of what the world looks like. Again, think Wind Waker. So no major land masses, it's mostly ocean. By extension, everything is sea travel. Technology is where it was around the turn of the century. So there's no such thing as air travel, it's all sea travel, but there are guns and gunpowder. So as you would imagine, piracy is king. Now there are these kind of kingdoms and smaller like sovereign city-states, but there is not like big countries because there's not big continents. Instead, there is one centralized government that oversees everything. And it's just called the world government. Just like whatever, hand wave world government.
Got it. Done.
Sure.
Move on.
Whatever.
Right, exactly. The major arm of the world government are the Marines. Again, no particular distinction, just the Marines. Pirates are the natural foil to the Marines. What, Matt?
Sorry. On this image that I'm looking at, this big red thing in the middle of the world is not a landmass?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Sorry, I brought that image up a little too early. So the world is divided up in 4 quadrants, essentially. And it's divided in these two kind of this, like, imagine like a plus sign in the middle of the earth for people that can't see the images.
Like a latitude and longitude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you've got these 4 quadrants that are called the East Blue, the West Blue, North Blue, and South Blue.
Like hemispheres.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Now in the center, you've got the thin horizontal band. That's your equator that wraps around the entire planet. That is called the Grand Line.
Okay.
There are islands there, and there are people that live there. The Grand Line is the kind of the destiny, is the ultimate journey that the Straw Hat Pirates are going to take. We'll get a little bit more into the Grand Line next episode. So today we're going to stick to most of just the East Blue, and that's where everything starts.
Cool.
A couple other things to note. Pirates operate outside of the law. They do not have a single morality. Pirates are not inherently good nor bad. They are just the rebels. So Marines are the man. Pirates are outside of the law. Marines versus pirates, they are the natural foil of each other. Some are good. Some play by their own rules. But pirating in this world is equatable to adventuring. So if every little boy wants to grow up to be a pirate.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the Pokemon master, or the Pokemon trainer. It's the duelist in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like it's the profession.
Shonen Jump, y'all. Like that's what it is.
Our economy supports pirating, so all you do is pirate.
Our economy is built on pirating. So this takes up to the setup that's shown in the intro to episode 1 and then the opening that you'll see in every episode of One Piece. We introduce Gold D. Roger, who's the notorious king of the pirates. He announces to the world right before his historical execution that he hid all his treasure in one place. And he says whoever can find it and claim it whoever can find it can claim it as theirs, and, more importantly, will become the next king of the pirates.
Good.
This is otherwise known as the One Piece, the eponymous One Piece.
Oh, so it's because they misheard him. He said one place, and they all heard One Piece, and they're like, "Let's go to the One Piece." And he's like, "Wait,
it's like the one piece of treasure." Is that
the
what
one piece of treasure?
Gotcha.
Yeah, the MacGuffin.
It's the MacGuffin, baby. The titular One Piece.
Is the real One Piece the friends we made along the way? Or am I getting ahead of us?
Well, Andrew hasn't watched all 1,000 episodes.
I haven't watched all 1,000 episodes. So I mentioned there are 950 episodes in Japan. The English dub is up to about 800 or so.
Goddamn.
Okay.
I watched 130 of them. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 800 before there are 900 episodes, but we'll see. One other thing to note, this world has superpowers. So this is also pirates, but these are also superheroes. You wouldn't have known that without watching the show, but yeah, this is just another superhero show. Remember how I said like there's an anime something high school for everything? This is just anime pirate high school.
All right.
I don't hate that.
It's really good. It's a really good show. It's a lot of content, but none of it's bad. I mean, all of it's really fucking good. It is like if you go home, dear listener, I'm by no means asking you to watch 800 episodes of One Piece, but I wholeheartedly recommend that you just watch the opening to One Piece. It's called We Are. It is just like a warm blanket chicken soup anime goodness for your soul.
Well, and to make it clear, Andrew is not asking you to watch 900 episodes. Our Patreon, Derek, is asking you to watch 900 episodes.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you know anything like what the retention rate is? Is there a point where people, are like, okay, I've seen enough and jump off? Or is it like once you're in, baby, and
I've seen enough of Pirate High School, I'm good.
I don't want to call it individual people, but I will give you the context. Another member of #ButtThwomp Nation and dear friend of ours, Tommy, has seen every single episode and read every single issue of the manga, and he does not plan to stop anytime soon.
Oh boy.
But is Tommy Is he the norm, or is he?
Kyle, there's been 450 million copies of this goddamn manga sold.
Right?
I don't think he's.
I rescind my question.
Yeah, I don't think that's uncommon.
Okay.
It's just one of those things. Like, if you started watching it, you're not. Why would you stop now?
Yeah.
Do you, Andrew, predict you will keep chugging through this series over time and make it to 1,000?
I don't have a good answer for you. I honestly don't know. I was talking a lot to Derek about this, and I think Derek had the best quote. He said, I really like mac and cheese. But if I had to eat mac and cheese for every meal of every day for a month and a half, I probably wouldn't want to eat mac and cheese anymore. I think that's how I feel about One Piece. It's, imagine just watching all of Dragon Ball Z, the Frieza saga. And like, while that was so much fun to watch like every day when I came home from school, I also can't fathom watching 15 straight episodes of Goku and Frieza just recounting their 5-minute battle over and over again.
Just screaming.
Yeah. And that's kind of where this gets into, and we'll talk about it. I think there's a lot of good writing, but there's also a lot of shonen jump ass shit in here.
Gotcha.
Okay, so real quick, let me talk about devil fruits. Devil fruits are what give people in this world superpowers. People are not born with them. They don't acquire them. They only acquire them through eating these mysterious things called devil fruits. It's kind of weird because like everybody knows that devil fruits exist and they know they give you powers, but there is one major trade-off. Actually, two major trade-offs. If anyone who eats a devil fruit, they don't know what power they're gonna get. So it could be like one of those things like you could control fire, or you could like grow your fingers a little bit bigger, and you don't really know. Two is you can't swim. So when you eat a devil fruit, the nature's way of balancing out is you immediately sink in any body of water, which like, again, in a planet that's mostly 95% water, you probably don't want that.
Yeah.
Andrew, in your experience watching the 100 or so episodes you consumed, did anyone get the superpower that they can swim?
Same question. I had the same question that you taught.
Because like at that point, you're king pirate, and everyone just needs to quit and go home.
Like did anyone get Aquaman powers from the?
Not
devil
that
fruit?
I know of, but there are a lot more devil fruits that I'm not aware of.
I'm gonna call it. Someone got the superpower that they can like swim or pull a JC and walk across water.
This is also a question you might not have the answer to. Does the devil fruit determine the power, or does the person determine the power?
The devil fruit does. This is not
okay.
This is not some Marvel bullshit. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. bullshit.
Okay, so like there is a devil fruit that gives you the stretchy arms, but it's okay.
Yep. So let's get into it. We'll start with the first arc. It's called Romance Dawn, and this is like I said earlier, we're gonna go through the entire saga that's called East Blue, and then next episode. Please tune in next month and we'll go through the Alabasta saga. All right, so Romance Dawn saga. This is the first 4 or so episodes. So our pilot episode introduces us to a boy named Kobe, a wide-eyed chore boy aboard a pirate ship captained by the evil Alvida, or otherwise known as Iron Mace Alvida, a very full-figured woman who looks like a Lady Wario, as captured in Image 2.
She does look like Lady
really
Wario.
Does. Yeah.
If Lady Wario were a Texas oil baron.
Yeah. She's got a big Texas hat.
Yep.
So Kobe comes across a sealed barrel that's moving and jumbling all of its own. Inside, we meet our show's protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy, a scrawny, happy-go-lucky teenager who doesn't look more than 15. He wears a red tank top, flip-flops, and his iconic straw hat. And Image 3. Everyone has seen this picture. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you know nothing of this show, you know this person.
You have seen Monkey D. Luffy, whether or not you know it.
If you look at this picture with like the right mindset, the little shadowing under his chin looks kind of like a really scraggly baby beard.
Yeah, he's funny. He's clean shaven. But one of the things that I actually really like about this show, and it's because it's from the manga, is that characters are not good looking. Like nobody in this show looks good. Like everyone looks really weird, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because like people are either like absolute squares of people like Alvida, or they're like super lanky, and we'll see with like some of the other characters like Nami and Sanji, like people just have impossible proportions. And I that's one of my favorite parts about watching this show is just like everybody looks like fucking garbage, and I love it. But like in a good way, you know. So let's talk a little bit about Luffy. Luffy is our main character. He is again Shonen Jump as fuck. He is a cross between the blissful goofball ignorance of Goku, the complete narrow-mindedness on one thing of Ash Ketchum, and then sprinkle in a little bit, or Naruto, and sprinkle in a little bit of Izuku Midoriya's self-masochism. That's a character from My Hero Academia. We have not talked about that show.
I was gonna say I don't know.
I needed help
one.
on the third one. Thank you.
I know. So he's got big Ash Ketchum energy, but like if Ash Ketchum was also like a very silly goofball who was also a superhero. So
okay,
yeah,
I'm into it.
So meanwhile, we learn that Alvida and her gang of pirates are pretty nasty. They're the bad kind of pirates. Kobe is their prisoner. There's scenes of her just whacking him with this iron mace, this spiked iron mace. Luffy is just like, okay, and he just goes to confront her. Now we don't know yet that Luffy is a superhero. So the big reveal is that Luffy uses his is what he calls his gum powers. Luffy is Mr. Fantastic. He can stretch his arms and legs in any shape. He's the gum or gumo man. Because he ate the gum devil fruit.
Every time I look at myself in the mirror, I realize I am also the gumo man.
So do the different devil fruits look different? Or
I think so, but it's not super clear. I don't know that people know what they are until after they eat them.
Sure.
Because I think there's only one of each.
Like every devil fruit is unique, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I couldn't go to a market and buy a gumo fruit.
I don't think so, unless they revealed that in like later episodes. But as of episode 130, the answer to that question is no.
When they meet the very when they go to the very opulent island, it's like, they have special. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, anyone who's watched Naruto will know that they do that incredible anime thing where everyone has their own like branded moves and techniques, and then they call it out before they do it. So Luffy's trademark is he does gum, and then he'll like punch, like he'll call it gum bazooka or gum pistol or gum insert firearm here. It's lovely. And then when he punches people, they go flying into outer space like Team Rocket. It's great. I love it. So let's go back to this little pissant Kobe. Kobe mentions to Luffy that his dream is to be a Marine. And he talks about a notorious pirate hunter who's recently captured. They decide that they're going to go see him. This pirate hunter's name is Roronoa Zoro. That is a hard name to say, so we're just going to call him Zoro, like the show does.
Yeah.
So Luffy and Kobe head to the nearest Marine outpost where Kobe intends to enlist. Meanwhile, Luffy wants to get a hold of Zoro. So we go to image 4. That is Roronoa Zoro, the infamous pirate hunter.
Real badass, and you can see why he would be called Zoro.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the legendary dog from Pokemon Sword.
Roronoa Zoro is a master swordsman, and he's trained in the 3-sword style. What that means is, for people listening at home that don't have access to the images, Zoro has 2 samurai swords on either hand and has a third sword that he has in his teeth. And he actually fights all the time with 3 swords. And he swings the third sword with his fucking jaw. And it's awesome.
Oh, that's stupid and I love it.
It's stupid good. Zoro is also the same voice of Piccolo and Vegeta.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
That feels right.
Christopher Sagat, and he's got big Piccolo energy. He's also the voice of All Might for those of you that have seen My Hero Academia. Christopher Sagat, excellent voice actor. So Luffy meets Zoro. Zoro is all tied up in the center of town. Luffy decides that he wants Zoro to be on his crew and tries to negotiate with the Marines. This is where we meet 2 of the more infamous Marines that we're going to meet again later. Captain Morgan and his son Helmeppo, which are images 5, 6, and 7. They are both absolute pieces of shit. Helmeppo is supposed to be
an axe for a hand.
Helmeppo looks like Stuart from Mad TV, only like a pirate.
So Helmeppo is supposed to be Captain Morgan's son, despite the fact that Helmeppo looks like he's 47, and he has a butt chin.
He has an incredible ball chin. Yeah.
He has a ball chin.
But Captain Morgan looks amazing.
Yeah, Captain Morgan has an axe hand. So this is where we start to realize that, like, oh, maybe the Marines aren't like all super legit, because Captain Morgan is just like a fucking sadist.
Yeah.
So Luffy is able to reclaim all the swords that were taken, but he finds 3 of them. And he asks Zoro which one is his, and Zoro says all of them.
Good.
And this is where we were first introduced to Zoro's 3-sword style. Luffy and Zoro then find out that Morgan has been, just low-key bleeding this town dry. So they beat him up and chase him and Helmeppo out of town, much to the town's chagrin. So again, this is where we learn, again, Marines are just their own faction. They are not the police. They are just their own faction with their own desires and goals. And pirates are the opposite, the absolute foil of Marines.
Gotcha.
Luffy and Zoro, kind of at the end of all of this, they fake getting caught by Kobe so that they can kind of sever their ties. Remember I said Kobe wants to enlist in the Marines. So Luffy has this kind of big plan. Like, he's going to pretend like they're getting caught, and so he can show that Kobe has no actual ties to them. But in the end, they dip out because they're way better and, way better at being pirates than the others are being Marines.
Sure.
Of course.
So our crew is now up to 2. We've got Luffy and Zoro. We finished this first kind of mini arc by getting Luffy's backstory, because right now we don't really know anything about Luffy, except for he is the Gumo Gumo man.
He got them stretchy boy arms.
So Luffy grew up in a small town, and he idolized the pirates that would hang out in the local bar. One thing that you're going to see a lot is there are no parents in One Piece. It's just much like Pokemon and Naruto. Nobody has a dad. Nobody has a mom. Everyone has surrogate dads and moms that they vow they're going to follow their dreams, yada, yada, yada.
Whatever.
Perfect.
Whatever.
Love it.
Yep. So Luffy's just hanging out as a little boy, hanging out with all these grown ass pirates in the bar. One day, actually I should say this group in particular that he hangs around with is led by red-haired Shanks, which is everyone's dad, who is just a fucking cool as shit guy. He is like the guy that everybody idealized when they had their first paid job. It was like that cool guy that you were like, I want to be like that guy, even though you learned that that dude was 24 and sleeping with high school kids. But at the time, you thought that guy was the fucking
super
shit.
rad.
Yeah. So if you look at image 8, that is red-haired Shanks. He leads the red-haired pirates.
He's got big tuxedo mask energy to me.
Yeah, he's a little tuxedo mask. He is people like red-haired Shanks. He is like surrogate dad. So I mean,
gotcha.
That comparison is totally fair. So they're all hanging out one day, and this bandit comes into the bar and tries to start a fight with the pirates, and Shanks isn't really having any of it because Shanks just wants to hang out and drink. Luffy is a little kid. He's got a lot of little pissant kid machismo. He gets upset with Shanks for not defending his honor, and he as kind of in a huff, he eats a fruit in Shanks' bag.
That'll show you.
In a huffy?
Yeah.
He's riding a bike?
He's riding a huffy. Shanks freaks out like, what the fuck, man? Now you have devil fruit powers. He's like, oh no.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
The plot that I fell into.
Exactly. It's a cute and fun scene because like Luffy is just kind of sitting there at the bar and then his arm starts to droop to the floor. He's like, oh no. But like Luffy doesn't give a shit about anything. So he's like, oh, I guess I'm the Gum Gum Man now. And he doesn't give a shit that he can never swim or anything or be like a normal human boy. But like whatever.
Sure. He's the Gum Gum Man though. Like
he's a Gum Gum Man.
It's a fair trade-off.
Yeah. So later Luffy tries to pick a fight with that same bandit and obviously like gets his shit wrecked. And that bandit throws him into the sea.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Seems like an immediate issue now.
Yeah. And Luffy doesn't realize he can't swim anymore. So he just starts to sink. And gets attacked by like a shark or a monster or something. I can't remember. Anyway, Shanks comes and saves the day, saves Luffy from drowning, and saves him by comes in between him and the monster. And actually gets his arm bitten the fuck off.
Whoa!
Oh, that would be why his arm isn't in this picture.
Yep, he only has one arm. So Shanks and Luffy kind of have this like weird history where Shanks saved his life, and this whole backstory ends with Shanks and the crew leaving Luffy's island forever. But Luffy promising Shanks someday he's going to make him proud and be the next king of the pirates. And in a real cool surrogate dad-ass move, Shanks gives him the iconic straw hat that he wears every day.
Wait, did Luffy leave the island promising Shanks, or did Shanks leave the island?
Shanks left Luffy's island. And when he while he was leaving, Luffy promised him that as he was leaving.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Has Shanks consumed the devil fruit?
So we don't know much about Shanks other than what I've given. Even to this day, like as of the last episode that I've seen, we don't know the whereabouts of Shanks and his crew.
Gotcha. I bet he comes back.
I imagine he comes back, but he has not yet.
He's got big Ryan Reynolds in waiting energy.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
He is Ryan Reynolds in waiting 100%. Okay, so let's go to the next major arc. This is Orangetown. So we're back in the present. We've got Luffy and Zoro. They're just kind of like traveling. A lot of this is, you guys have seen Pokemon. A lot of the individual stories in this show definitely feel like Ash and Misty and Brock wind up in Saffron City and they encounter this person.
And they got to do a thing.
And they got to do a thing. A lot of One Piece is just kind of delighting in side stories, not side, but like self-contained stories.
Yeah.
So while East Blue is definitely setting up a lot of the main cast, there still are a lot of these like in these kind of isolated side stories. We're not going to get so much into that. You don't really need to know about the mayor of this town who also has a dog. Who the dog is in a Futurama moment. The dog's like owner was abandoning him, and also there's a lion man. It doesn't matter.
It may matter in episode 734.
It might matter.
Yeah.
735. So I'll call out the major plot points here. There's a lot of contrived reasons why they end up in towns. Like Luffy's whole thing is he likes food and he is an idiot and he doesn't, he always lives in the moment. He is way stronger than he deserves to be. And also like doesn't give a shit about him or his safety. Like he's
a common trait of all Shonen Jump protagonists.
Exactly. He is pure id. He is only id. So he'll do this. He'll do these things where he'll like see a bird and just like go like slingshot his arms to catch the bird, and then the bird is actually an eagle, and then the like pecks at his arm, and then he like loses grip and then accidentally gets slingshot into another island.
Nice.
Yep.
So that's how they get into Orangetown. It doesn't matter. Let's move on. They meet an orange-haired girl named Nami, who we've actually seen in past episodes. There's like kind of nods in between scenes in earlier episodes, but we don't know who this person is yet. So Nami is a thief, and upon finding out they're pirates, she tries to rob Luffy and Zoro to collect money from just so happens to be another band of pirates near town. However, her conscience catches up to her. So image 9 is Nami. She's obviously an important character.
I'm getting big Misty vibes from Nami.
Yeah, she's the
your
waifu
Misty
here.
She's your waifu. This is your Misty, your Bulma, your Ochaku, or Chaco, your Sakura, however you want to spin it.
That all tracks.
Your girlfriend character.
Can I ask a question that I feel like we might have glazed over that I'm confused about? So Zoro was like the pirate hunter.
Yes.
And then Scrappy Straw Hat Kid was like, hey, pirate hunter, what if you pirate? And Zoro was down?
Yeah, he was. So each of the characters in the Straw Hat Pirates, we actually don't get a lot about Zoro when we first meet him. It's just kind of like, he's just kind of this weird dude along with the ride. And he's just like this 30-year-old man hanging out with a teenager, and it's fine.
Okay.
Is it just more of a like, you free me, I'll join your side kind of thing? Like he doesn't really care about the allegiance. He just wants to be on the seas with his
It's a really good
swords.
question. There is a reason. I mean, part of it is, Luffy has this like, Luffy has big protagonist in a JRPG energy where people just like naturally like attach onto him.
I like the cut of his
plot.
jib.
Yeah, he just nails every charisma roll.
Exactly. He's a big silent protagonist. And actually watching One Piece is like playing a JRPG where you're kind of going, and East Blue is literally like, we're going through and we're getting all the party members, right? So like Zoro is our first party member. And each one of them, like a Brock, each one of these characters has like their thing. So Luffy wants to be the king of the pirates. Zoro wants to be the greatest swordsman. And Zoro sees Luffy's strength and says, that's a person I want to follow. And he's just like, yeah, fuck pirate hunting. Because he's just doing it for money anyway. He's just kept collecting bounties.
Sure.
And again, in this world, like, you can either
be a means to an end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in this world, like, it's like Pokemon. You can either be a marine or a pirate, or you can be fucking poor. So, do you want to be a marine or a pirate?
Yeah.
Are you a Pokemon hunter, or do you work for Team Rocket? Yeah.
Yeah. Or you are the 1% in healthcare, which doesn't exist. Otherwise, you are a mom. Like those are your options for professions in these worlds. So yeah, I mean, it's not super clear yet, like what's kind of Zoro's being driven by. But right now, it's like, oh, that's a strong dude. He seems legit. Let's go. Let's fuck it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah. So the other band of pirates that I mentioned is led by none other than Buggy the Clown, who you'll see in Image 10.
Oh, he's my favorite character.
Yeah, Buggy the Clown. Buggy the Clown is real fun.
What's happening?
Can I put something out into the universe?
Yeah.
Buggy the Clown is to pirates as Roxo the Clown is to Death Clock. That is what Buggy the Clown is.
Yep. That's Buggy the Clown, baby. Buggy the Clown is so good.
Is like it's the other image from this show I know, or this manga or show I know. Like I know Luffy and I know Buggy the Clown.
Buggy's fun because Buggy is like one of the first nods that we're like, oh, okay.
We're doing weird stuff here.
So Buggy the Clown and his
Can
band
I predict does he have a similar arc to Piccolo where he's like the bad guy and then he gets his ass kicked and then
he just sucks.
Okay,
he's just shitty. No, unfortunately he's just shitty. But there is a fun filler arc with Buggy the Clown, which we can get into later. So Buggy the Clown, what's really fun about him is all the pirates have pirate insignias because obviously they do, and his little like skull and crossbones has a clown nose.
Yeah, it does. For sure, it does.
It's so good.
Oh no!
So Buggy also has a pet lion because why not?
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah. But most important thing about Buggy is that he is the first that we encounter outside of Luffy that has devil fruit powers. So now we learn that like, oh, this is not just Luffy. This is like a thing. So what happens is they're fighting, Zoro and Buggy are fighting, and Zoro just like slices clean through like his chest or something. And what happens is he kind of just like falls into two layers. Like think about like a cake, like a layered cake. He just kind of like flops down on the ground and he's like, so Buggy has the chop powers because he ate the chop fruit. And Buggy's body can just be chopped, and then he can kind of just like reabsorb back into himself. So, like Piccolo, he can reform.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong. He just doesn't have a character arc like Piccolo.
Gotcha.
He's the T-1000 villain.
Yep. So Luffy and Zoro team up with Nami to take down Buggy, and they save the town from Buggy and his rampaging lion. Nami's whole thing is she is a navigator. So she knows maps, and she's like, where are you guys going? And they're like, no. So she's like, well, I can help you find the Grand Line. So just to recap, Luffy wants to be the king of the pirates. The way to become the king of the pirates is to find the One Piece. The One Piece is in the Grand Line. So Luffy's ultimate goal is to find the Grand Line. But he's like, I don't know. So Nami says, I can help you at a price. So Nami temporarily joins the crew as the navigator.
Gotcha.
All right. Next arc, Serp Village. Also, these town names are excellent. Serp Village.
These are Pokemon ass town names.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. And for those of you, dear listeners, who can't cut through Andrew's Pittsburgh accent, it is Syrup Village. Not just Serp Village.
Serp Village.
Serp Village.
Yeah.
I actually did not catch it was Syrup Village until I looked at the notes.
Thank you for translating, Matt.
Serp.
The crew then winds up in Maple Juice Village, and they meet.
Maple juice is the most perverted way to describe syrup ever.
We meet our fourth party member, Usopp, which you'll see in Image 11. Usopp is, let's be honest, Usopp is the fucking piece of shit of the group. He's the beta.
The beta cuck boy.
He's the beta cuck boy. Yeah. I don't love Usopp. Usopp is the comedic value. He's the Michelangelo of the group. He is also the voice of Krillin, and he is also Krillin.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say, is he Krillin? And
he's Krillin, and it's so much so because that is the voice of Krillin. He's Krillin with hair. He's the coward. He's the one who's going to be like, no, guys. Ah!
He's the Shaggy of the group.
Yeah. Except for Shaggy is likable. I don't think Usopp has any redeeming qualities. You still like he's good enough that you root for him. He's part of the team. Anyway, this arc's all about Usopp. So we get some of Usopp's backstory. Usopp's whole thing is that he's a liar. Like that's like his personality. Like he tells people, "I'm a liar." That's his thing, man. Like, and our first introduction to Usopp is him running up and down the road, yelling at people, "There are pirates! There are pirates!" He's just kind of like a shitty person.
He just sucks.
He just sucks. He just kind of sucks. But we get Usopp's backstory. So Usopp's father left his family to become a pirate, which is also kind of a shitty thing to do. Usopp he never kind of grew out of him being a kid or himself being a kid. So he his father leaving kind of stunted him forever. But Usopp's idolizes his father. Like his whole thing is he wants to be like a great and brave pirate to like his father was one day. But like you see these really sad scenes of his him talking to his mom is like, yeah, dad's coming back, and she's like, uh-huh.
Yikes.
He's Ricky Bobby. It's the Ricky Bobby story arc.
A little bit, yeah. Usopp was this really lonely kid. He wasn't really good at anything, and again, like he developed this reputation for being a storyteller, aka a liar. And he would just kind of he's the boy who cried wolf, right? But he's a soft side. He's our character. He's our boy. We're supposed to like him. He does have a soft side. So he is friends with a wealthy bedridden girl whose name is Kaya. So Kaya, she lives in this mansion. She's kind of like a shut-in, she can't go outside, whatever. So he will show up outside of her window and he'll tell her stories and, cheer her up and make her feel, make things up on the spot and be like, Captain Usopp and his band of pirates. That's how he talks.
Yeah.
Do we know why she's bedridden? Does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Interesting point though. So Usopp's father was actually, his name is Yasop, fucking whatever. His father was in Shank's crew. So so Luffy actually met Usopp's father.
Nice.
All right.
We find out later. Yeah. So going back to Usopp and Kaya, we learn that Kaya's butler is actually revealed to be Captain Kuro, who is a pirate in hiding. He's been waiting on Kaya hand and foot, waiting for years, waiting for the right moment to strike and steal her fortune.
Of course.
Then he is truly the beta cuck boy.
So Usopp overhears this one day and he tries to warn everybody, but of course nobody believes him because he's a liar. So enter in Luffy and gang who run into Usopp. Usopp asks them for help and they agree to fight Captain Kuro. So with Usopp's help, they beat Kuro. So Usopp's whole thing is, again, he's not like a fighter. He's not like Zoro where he uses weapons. He's not like Luffy where he has superpowers. He's like the schemer of the group. He's the trickster, so like if this were
he's the Joey Wheeler.
Yeah, he's a Joey Wheeler. If this were a JRPG, he'd be the guy that has all the items. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I said, Usopp's whole thing is he wants to be a great and powerful adventurer, a brave pirate, a brave warrior, just like his father. So he agrees. He basically begs to join the crew, and he is our fourth party member. So we're up to 4 now. More importantly, when the gang saves Kaya, basically, she gives them their ship, which will ultimately become their pirate ship, called the Going Merry, which is Image 12. And now this is the official forming of the Straw Hat Pirates.
All right.
And
got it.
For those of you not looking at the image library, the Going Merry is a pirate-ass pirate ship. But that's when they build the insignia for the Straw Hat Pirates, which is a very cutesy, smiling skull and crossbones, but with like open teeth smile and a straw hat. It's very
a grinning Jolly Roger with a small straw hat.
It's got like big papyrus energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Andrew, I have and you can tell me, we'll get to it. Is our pirate party rounded out?
We've got a few more.
Pirate parties 4, or they're more
We've
than
got
that?
So we're going to end our party with 5 today, but there's actually a new party member next month who is one of my personal favorites.
All right. Continue.
I've got to tell you, I have been looking exclusively at Buggy the Clown gifts for the past 5 minutes.
So let me actually.
He's heard half of what you said since we brought up Buggy the Clown.
So
he's been looking at gifts.
There is an epilogue for Buggy gets an epilogue. Actually, we'll see Buggy again.
Yeah.
But there was some. So let's talk a little bit about filler content. I think this is actually a good point to talk about that.
Is this a good point to add filler to our own flavor text, Andrew?
Anyone who's seen shows like Naruto or Avatar is really notorious for this, knows what filler content is. And this is really common with shows like Shonen Jump shows because they are based on manga. With One Piece, they tried really hard to make this stick as close to the manga as possible. And there are and it's actually a little more clear in the show. Like if you go, I will post the One Piece wiki is fantastic. And there's actually a rundown of like what arcs are canon and what aren't. And in the show, there are actually full arcs that are just considered to be quote unquote filler.
Oh,
and
nice.
One of the first filler arcs, and we're not going to talk about the filler arcs today because quite frankly, they're not very good. I wouldn't recommend watching them. So if you're going to watch this and go through the East Blue saga, only watch the episodes that I talk about. With the exception, you got to watch the Treasure Man episode, the Gaiman Treasure Man episode. That one's very good. But there is a fun little filler arc. It's like just Buggy the Clown's crew's adventures. So after Buggy gets chopped up to like little bits and pieces, he's just like, there's a whole couple episodes of him like at sea, just kind of like floating like little bitty pieces of Buggy. And there's like a whole episode of him with he's just a head on top of 2 feet. And he kind of waddles around.
Yep.
And he's like, and he's like trying to find the rest of his body. It's very stupid, but it's very fun.
I was gonna ask what the logistics were, the mechanics of Buggy the Clown when separated from appendages.
It's whatever
kind of
it
like
needs to be.
It's kind of like an Odysseus' ship thing, like where does Buggy's old body end and his new body begin, and like what parts of Buggy are actually Buggy's body and what aren't. Yeah, this whole thing. Anyway. Okay, so we've got 2 major arcs left. I think these are probably still my 2 favorite arcs that I've seen to date. This is specifically like these set of episodes. This is where I was like, okay, I'm in. Until this point, like the show is just very fun and silly and kind of like doesn't, whatever. But like I think there's some really good storytelling when it comes to this next arc, Bratier, and then the following one, which is Arlong Park. Which these are also like people love these. These are very notorious. This is like the cream of the crop when it comes to classic One Piece. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about Bratier. So we're gonna start. So again, there's all these little interludes where they're like, we need a blank, and so now they have a captain. They've got an enforcer. They've got a navigator. They've got an Usopp. Luffy, like I said, Luffy's whole like his one and only goal is king of the pirates, but then his second goal is to eat food. So he's always hungry, right? He's always I'm hungry. So he wants a chef. So they decide that they're going to head to Bratier, which is the East Blue's most premier restaurant that is also conveniently a big pirate ship, as you will see in Image 13.
Perfect.
Bratier is run by this brick shit house of a dude named Zeph, one-legged Zeph, or peg-legged Zeph, who you'll see in Image 14. So peg-legged Zeph, or previously known as red-legged Zeph, runs a crew, or kitchen crew, of chefs that are all ex-pirates.
He's got a big Doug Dimmadome hat.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I love this arc and I love this crew of pirates. Zeph fucking rules. So we were introduced to the Bratier's whole crew. We also see their most indignant sous chef, Sanji. A blonde young man who is hornier than Brock in a room full of Officer Jennies. Who you see in Image 15.
Yeah.
Sanji is a thirsty boy. I like Sanji a lot. I think Sanji is an excellent character. His whole deal is he always has a cigarette in his mouth, and the cigarette is always drooping, like it's wet. It's never lit. It's always smoking, but it's so, I love it. Sanji is an expert cook. He also is a kicker because, of course, and he does like breakdance fighting, which is just really good. So this is where the storytelling, I think, definitely like they take it up a notch. So let's talk a little bit about Sanji's backstory. Now, again, like we're gonna start getting all of the backstories of our main characters. We've got Luffy and Usopp, but we haven't really heard much about the other three yet. So Sanji and Zeph, excuse me, not Jeff. I'm telling this a little bit out of order, and there's a lot of things that are happening at the same time. So I'll start with Sanji's backstory. Sanji and Zeph go way back. So Sanji was actually living on another restaurant ship because there are apparently more of these restaurant ships when he was way younger, like 8 years old, and that ship was attacked by pirates. Those pirates were led by a then two-legged Zeph. Who was known as Red Leg Zeph. He was, ironically enough, leading the Cook Pirates. They were the Cook Pirates.
Good.
It's all, the storyline all just lines up real nice.
Yep.
So during the attack, though, a massive storm came in and obliterated both pirate ships. Zeph regained consciousness underwater, and in a moment of empathy saw a young Sanji drowning and actually dove in deeper to rescue him. And emerged, and they kind of washed up on this tiny micro island that is like no more than 25 feet big. Well, it's also revealed that Zeph, in order to save Sanji, he cut off his own leg. He got trapped in between some sinking pirate ship, whatever, metal.
In a 127 hours situation.
Yeah, and his leg got stuck. He had to cut off his own leg. So we see them, Zeph and Sanji, the only survivors of this crash. They wash up on this tiny deserted island. Sanji wakes up and Zeph is already there, and he's got this big bag. And he says, basically, you and I are the only survivors. What we need to do now is we need to eat as little as possible to survive. And basically, we're going to sit here and we're going to look for a ship to try to rescue us. And Sanji is just like a pissant 8-year-old, and he's like, "Shut up, fuck you, I hate you, man." And
things that all normal 8-year-olds say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so Zeph hands Sanji a bag and tells him this is a third of the rations that made it in the crash, and I have the other 2/3 because I'm bigger and I need more food than you, and tough, so be it. And Sanji's like, "Yeah, fuck you, I hate you, whatever." So the two of them. So Sanji like basically pouted and went to the other island, the other side of the island, which again, like it's 20 feet. So they're just sitting opposite each other, just watching the water to see if they can see a ship. They say nothing. Weeks pass by. The two are just wasted away to basically nothing. I have an image here as image 16. You can see a little bit what they look like. It's pretty grim. I mean, again, this show is not for kids. The big reveal here is this whole time Sanji was kind of rationing off his food, and he obviously like ran out of food because he's a little kid, and he kept trying to get the food from Zeph, and Zeph wouldn't share his food, and Sanji got all indignant about it. Well, the big reveal is that the bag of food that Zeph had was still full. 2, it wasn't food at all. It was gold. It was all the treasure from the ship that now is meaningless. So what Zeph did was he lied to Sanji and gave him all his food so that Sanji would live.
Got a heart of gold.
Yeah, he's got a heart of gold,
and
even though
and a bag of gold, yeah,
and a bag of gold. Zeph was passed out from exhaustion and from starvation. Fortunately, though, Sanji was able to flag down a ship in his like last moments, and they're both rescued. And Zeph's lifelong dream was to run a kitchen. So Sanji, again, ding, surrogate fathers. Sanji and his surrogate father figure Zeph started this kitchen Bratier, and it was going to be like a refuge for ex-pirates.
Nice.
Wow.
So we flash forward to the present when a piece of shit hungry Luffy fucking slingshots and crashes his way through the roof of the Baratier.
It is a theme, you're right.
It is a theme. And just lands in Zeph's office, and he's like, in true Luffy form, I'm sorry. And it's just kind of like, what do you want to do now? Do you have any food? Because he's like an idiot. So Luffy agrees to be a chore boy for the Baratier in order to pay for the damages. As you would imagine, is not a very good employee because he gets bored very easily. So Meanwhile, so again, like I said, a lot of things are going on at the same time. The rest of the Straw Hats, they encounter these two guys that say they used to ride with Zorro in his pirate hunting days. There's not a lot with these guys. I don't even have these guys written in my notes because they're kind of pointless. But what happens is some stuff happens, and again, everyone's out doing their own thing. They are left alone with just Nami, and we find that Nami actually betrays them, pushes them overboard, and steals the Going Merry.
Oh.
Yeah,
great.
and we don't really know
Bummer.
why. Yeah, so these two dudes, so what happens is Zorro and Usopp, meanwhile, encounter this other guy named Mihawk, which is image 17. So this guy, Dracul Mihawk, is one of they call the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Now, the 7 Warlords of the Sea aren't super important right now. They will be in the next episode. Basically, all you need to know about them is they are a series of government-sanctioned pirates. They kind of act as like the government's black ops, more or less.
They're the boys.
They're the boys. Yep. They're the Suicide Squad. So Mihawk is hunting down this band of pirates called the Don Krieg and the Don Krieg Pirates. Or the Krieg Pirates, whatever you want to call them.
What a good
sounded
band.
like a local. I thought it sounded like a local band.
A local band. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got Big Donnie Iris or Joe Grishecki and the House
Don
Rockers.
Krieg and the Don Krieg Pirates. Don Krieg.
Oh, that was very much for you and me, but it was very good.
Anyway, so these guys, they're off doing the fuck. It's hard to tell this story because everything's happening at the same time. So Mihawk finds Zorro and Usopp, and they find out about he's chasing Don Krieg, whatever. Don Krieg. Zorro knows of Mihawk and knows that he is this like master, notorious, like world renowned swordsman. Zorro immediately challenges Mihawk to a duel. Good. And just gets his shit wrecked. Like Zorro has his platoon moment where he's like on his knees and he's T-posing out, and you just see this like giant gash of blood as Mihawk just like vertical slices down Zorro's chest. Like he almost fucking dies. And Mihawk just like says that he spares his life because he's so, quote, impressed with his courage. Whatever.
Yeah, all right.
Sure.
And then meanwhile, all this is happening. Those two dudes that used to roll with Zorro just like wash up and they're like, Nami took the ship. What the fuck? And they're like, what the fuck? So everyone's like, we got to find Luffy, who is at the Baratier as a chore boy.
Good.
So back at the Baratier, they are attacked by, you guessed it, another band of pirates.
More pirates.
Pirates on pirates on pirates. This is what we heard about the Don Krieg gang, the Krieg pirates.
The Don Krieg pirates?
Don Krieg and the Don Krieg pirates.
The Donnie Krieg. The Donnie Krieg
Kriegs.
Don Krieg and the Krieg pirates are one of the most feared pirate crews in all of the East Blue. You'll see in images 17 and 18, this is Don Krieg.
And that is Don Krieg with guns.
And that is Don Krieg with a gun. Now, Don Krieg's saying he doesn't have devil fruit powers like Buggy. All he is just a mean old pirate boss, but he does have a metallic suit that morphs into a mech armor that's mounted with several cannons.
Good.
Because if you're not going to have superpowers, you should have a mech.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this whole time, Luffy has decided that Sanji is going to join his crew and be his chef. And Luffy has this thing, like when he decides that someone's going to join their crew, he doesn't ask. He's just like, hey, you're on my crew now. So he decided that Sanji was going to join the crew, and Sanji doesn't want to because he, we already have learned through his backstory that he feels like he needs to be here with Zeph. He owes them something, and Luffy consistently asks and asks and asks, and eventually, once the Krieg pirates attack, says, Sanji, if I beat up these pirates, you're going to join my crew. And Sanji's like, okay, well, whatever. So Luffy takes on Don Krieg. We also see Sanji fight, and like I said earlier, Sanji is a breakdance fighter. He's kind of like Eddie Goro from Tekken, where he just like dances around. Yeah, I fucking love Sanji. I think he's like all the really gross kind of pervert shit aside. I think Sanji's really fun because he's a kicker and he only kicks. So like
good.
And like I said before, this show and manga do a really good job of not making anybody look like good. You know, everybody kind of looks kind of slovenly.
Yeah.
And so Sanji always looks like he always has stubble, but they always draw a little like curlicue on his chin to be like one chin hair, which I really like. And he's also like, Sanji's drawn really lanky. So like anytime Sanji is fighting, his legs look like they're like 4 feet long and then they extend to like 8 feet, you know? You can see it actually in the opening. He does like a cool breakdance fight in the opening. Anyway, that's Sanji. So Sanji and Luffy take down Don Krieg and the Don Krieg Pirates. And then Sanji agrees to join Luffy. Real quick, I just want a quick mention. Remember I said like way back, there's a lot of Shonen Jump-ass things that happen.
Yeah.
This is where like fights stop being 1 episode and start being 10 episodes.
Oh, got it.
And I'll be honest with you, like I think the storytelling is really good, but this show does tend to lose me in these like big fight scenes because it's the Dragon Ball Z thing where it's like you got to do the opening and then last time on, and then each character has to reflect on everything that's happened to you know,
so
to
only
culminate
like
in this
3
moment.
minutes of new plot happen per
And again, like
episodes.
Naruto does it, Bleach does it, they all do it. It's just it's really tired. And I know for a fact that One Piece doesn't do that as much anymore. But going back to something Kyle asked earlier, like, should I watch the show from the beginning? You kind of have to. You have to watch it. It's like playing old Final Fantasy or other JRPGs. Like the medium is better. Like the medium has evolved, so you have to take it as it was when it came out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just how anime was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was exactly what stopped me from getting as into Dragon Ball as all of my other friends did. Because I tried really hard in like middle school to get into Dragon Ball because all of my friends were, and I couldn't watch Frieza and Goku fight for 6 months to try and follow the plot.
And it's like American TV too, right? Because we consume media different now, right? I mean, it would be different if you were watching 1 episode a week, right? Because it's like, oh, what happened? That was important. That wasn't, you know. It's just we don't watch TV like that anymore. It's just so writing has changed. Anyway, so that's Baratie. It ends with Sanji joining the crew. We've got our 5th party member. We've got the crew is complete, except oh fuck, where's Nami and the rest and the ship? So we have to go find Nami, and that. So remember I said Nami temporarily joins the crew. So the next major arc is called Arlong Park. It is effectively the end of East Blue. Arlong Park is, I still think to this day, considered to be some of the best writing in One Piece. It is absolutely loved. Like some of the scenes there, specifically Nami's backstory, like people talk about it. Like when I was watching this, our friend Tommy, who I mentioned earlier, was texting me the whole time. Let me know when you get to Arlong Park. Let me know when you get to Arlong Park. Huh. You know, it's a really good series of episodes. Real quick though, there is a little bit of an interlude. So during the Baratie arc, we get an episode about Zoro's backstory. So we're going to cover that. Before we talk about Zoro's backstory, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay, listen, you know as well as we do, one day Nintendo is going to come knocking and tell us to stop using the Wii Shop music or they're going to sue the underwear off us. So instead of that, today I'm going to read you terrible gaming jokes I found on the internet for the next 60 seconds. I have not pre-read any of these. Let's see how it goes. What game do you play after eating Taco Bell? Fortnite. I asked my dad why a grown man would play Pokemon Go. He said, why not? How do you cure hunger in Minecraft? 3 square meals. What does Sonic use to knock on a door? Knuckles. How do you get a Bulbasaur on a bus? You poke him out. What did Princess Zelda eat for breakfast? A sausage link. Damn it. PS4 got injured and Xbox One is calling the ambulance. Wii U, Wii U, Wii U, Wii U. Jesus, 60 seconds is a long time. Why is a Jedi Knight never lonely? Because the Force is always with him. Why shouldn't you ask Yoda for money? Because he's always a little short. Why did Mario cross the road? Because he couldn't find the warp zone. What did Super Nintendo say to Sega Genesis? You know, everyone always tells me that I'm a bit better than you. Why did Sony hire Justin Timberlake to fix the PlayStation Network? Because they were hoping he could bring more than sexy back. Okay, I'm done. I'm never doing that again.
All right, welcome back. So we are talking about, we've got a couple more major story arcs to cover, and then we'll be out for East Blue Saga of One Piece. So real quick, before we cover Arlong Park, I'm going to get into a little bit about Zoro's backstory, which again happens during the Baratier arc. So enter Zoro. Everyone in this world starts as 8 years old and doesn't have a father or a mother. That's just a thing. Surrogate fathers all over the place.
Yep. Surrogate fathers all the way down.
Yep. So enter an 8-year-old, very angry and very, irritating Roronoa Zoro. He kind of just shows up at this. We see this like sword training monastery kind of thing, full of sword students. I don't know, whatever. So he approaches the teacher and he's like, "I'm gonna be the best swordsman, whatever, and I can beat you right now. And I'm gonna use 2 swords." And he grabs 2 wooden swords, and the teacher just like immediately puts him in his place because obviously he's an 8-year-old and has no training. So we get a cool sports montage where Zoro trains harder than any other student, and he tries to he wants to try to use the 2 swords, and 2 swords isn't enough. And as we learn to find out, so Zoro he starts to rise above the ranks and to him ultimately being the best of all the students. However, he just cannot beat the teacher's daughter, Kuina. And they kind of develop this like friendly rivalry of sorts. So Zoro and Kuina, they vow to fight 2,000 times, and Zoro says,
"That's a
going
little
to beat
much."
You. And they fight 2,000 times, and Zoro did not win once.
Twice for every episode of this show.
Exactly. There's 10 episodes for 1 fight and 1 episode for 2,000.
Boy.
So he resolved that Kuina would be the greatest swordswoman in the world. And she cries because she realizes that she can never, she's overheard her father say, like, she can never be a master swordsperson, because she's a woman. And that's
does she kill her father?
She does not.
Okay.
But Zoro's like, "That's stupid. You're the best." And they continue to train together and they become friends. However, Zoro finds out one day that Kuina dies. He walks into the school and he's like, "What's up, sensei?" And he's like all sad. And he was informed that Kuina just fell downstairs and died. And it was it was purposely a dramatic irony, right? Because she's a really strong kid, and it was like something so fragile could end her life.
Yeah.
And so Zoro's like ultimate drive is his promise to be the master swordsman and to be better than Kuina in her memory. So if you look at image 19, this is really good. I think this is a good summation of Zoro's training. It's him training with 2 swords and then weights in his mouth to train his jaw muscles to do the 3 sword style, which is really fun.
I'm glad that was at least explained, because I've seen 3 sword guy from One Piece in other things. And so I'm glad that like Zoro's backstory encompasses why he has a 3rd sword, and it's not just like because he does.
Because 3 swords are cooler than 2
because
swords.
3 swords. Well, because they are, but
But it's not just like he ate the 3 sword fruit and now he has 3 swords.
And not to like overanalyze One Piece, because that's not what we're here to do, but like One Piece does have a recurring theme of arrested development.
Yes.
Like all of these people are like, they basically stopped growing. Like stopped like growing into like, stopped evolving as people and just kind of all like grown kids. And and like that's
at least until they got on the boat and they
grew using the power of friendship. But they've all suffered these like pretty intense traumas, and they're just a fun, happy-go-lucky group of friends, whatever. It's fun.
Good.
There are lions and
it's like the Lost Boys from Peter Pan. Like they're lost abandoned children, but they're having a great time.
Yeah, exactly. They're cool. All right, Arlong Park. This is the big one. This is the one everyone likes. It starts. Remember. I'll remind you that Nami took the Going Merry. We learned that Nami is this whole time has actually been working with this band of pirates called the Arlong Pirates. Mm-hmm. These are the most notorious and feared band of pirates in the entire East Blue. These guys are number 1 in the entire East Blue. And her whole thing was, she's always been really suspicious, Nami being sus, and she was just like waiting for the right time to take all their ship and all their belongings, basically, because when she met Luffy and Zoro, they had nothing, and they started to accumulate stuff, and she was like, "Great, I'm out." So Luffy and the rest of the group are tracking after her, and they end up in this little town called Gosa Village. this town that has been taken hostage by the Arlong pirates. They ultimately learn. The Arlong pirates, if you look at image 20, these are a very silly but yet very powerful band of fishmen who are feared across the East Blue.
Is this where Todd's namesake comes from?
This is where Todd's namesake comes from. One of them is an octopus fishman.
I see him in the back there.
It's Octopus Goro is what it is.
Yeah. So they all kind of, go out in the town and are doing their own research. And Usopp does some Usopp shit and gets captured by the pirates because of course he does.
Yeah. Yep.
And we see Nami there, and he's like, Nami, what the hell? And she's like, shut up, nerd.
I do have a question. Are they fishmen because they've eaten devil fruit that give them fishmen powers, or are they fishmen because they're fishmen?
They're fishmen because they're fishmen.
Got it.
Okay.
It's not just humans that live in this world. There are other species too. There are just like dog people and lion people, and everyone's fine with it.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So they have a very normal reunion with Nami then.
Right. Now to be fair though, they are like, Arlong's whole thing is like, he's kind of like a nationalist. He's a fish nationalist.
Boy.
Where he's like, we're the dominant species, yada yada yada.
Yikes.
Gross.
Yeah, he sucks. He's a fucking piece of shit. He also, his design is really rad because he's got like a, what is like the shark that has like the sawtooth fin or sawtooth nose?
Oh, no.
A shark.
Oh.
They have like the sawtooth nose or whatever.
I think it's called a sawtooth shark.
Is it a sawtooth shark? It's a sawtooth shark. We're gonna say it's a sawtooth shark.
How about a sawfish? What's that do for you?
I don't like that one. We're gonna say it's a sawtooth shark.
It's right. So
okay, sawtooth shark.
It's a sawfish is right.
We are literally right in between last year's Shark Week and this year's Shark Week. You cannot question my shark knowledge at this time.
So what happens to end on this thread? Arlong tells Nami to kill Usopp to prove her loyalty because Nami's been out, and he's like, prove that you didn't, whatever, like a real mob boss would do. Yeah. And she's like, okay, and fucking stabs Usopp.
Nice.
And we're just like, oh no.
Wow.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Luffy and who are we left with? Sanji meet a mysterious woman identifying herself as Nojiko.
Question: Zoro?
Yes.
Is Zoro still around with them?
Zoro. Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Got it.
Zoro is off doing his own thing. Zoro just kind of like dips in and out a lot.
Sure.
Zoro's like, he just kind of will just take a nap and then just show up, be like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like that's his thing.
He just got his ass kicked.
Yeah. He's fine. He's fine now. His deal is like, he just sleeps and he's all better.
Oh,
so
okay.
like, he literally was like on the verge of death and took a nap and was like, and everyone's like, what? Are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Nice.
Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah. So actually, Zoro's off at this point fighting another one of the fishmen who is the more effeminate fishman who goes choo choo every time he talks. Not important. Doesn't matter. Not important to the story. All right. The important part of the story is we meet this woman named Nojiko, who happens to be Nami's sister. So she recounts the past, and this we get Nami's backstory. Okay, where do I start here? So we learn Nami and Nojiko were orphaned at a very young age.
Dang, no parents. Can't be a single parent.
Of course they were. Now, they are not blood related. They are just two orphans. But they were both eventually adopted by this super cool like punk woman who had just returned to Gosa from a years-long tour with the Marines. That'd be image 21. This is Belmir. Belmir fucking rules. She's awesome.
Her proportions are something else.
Yeah, I mean that's what everyone looks like in One Piece. Every woman looks like an hourglass. It's not great. But Belmir is super cool. She's like the town rebel. And like everyone's like, oh, shaking my fist at you, Belmir. But she's like a cool mom, right?
I can't stand you, but you make a good point. That thing over and over again. Yeah,
exactly. She's got a sweet fade haircut. Which is pretty rad.
Legit.
So their whole thing was Belmir. She was a soldier, so she didn't really have she didn't have a business. She didn't have, again, in this world, like you could either be a peasant or a pirate. These are the only two options. And so the three of them grew up poor, but Nami and Nojiko were totally happy. They didn't mind. One day, Arlong's gang attacked and turned everything on its head. Arlong's gang decided they were going to stay, and instead of kill everybody and take their stuff, they decided they were just going to hold this town hostage, and they demanded that every villager pay tribute by the size of their household. So it would be, the price was on a monthly basis, 100,000 berries. Sorry, the currency is berries. It's like yen. I should have said that. It's the same exchange rate to dollars as yen is basically.
Got it.
So like 100,000 berries per adult, 50,000 berries per kid. Obviously, after a while, this started to bleed the town dry. Belmere couldn't afford the payments, and the whole town, it's really sweet. The whole town tries to cover for her and they tried to hide the girls, and it's really sad. Obviously that doesn't work because the Arlong pirates are pieces of shit, and they find the girls, and there's this whole thing where Belmere basically sacrifices herself to save Nami and Nojiko, and she does it in just such a cool, awesome hero way where she's like, she looks at them like there's actually, I put a picture in here. It's from the manga, but I think it's really cool to see these panels in here. This is image 22. She's got a gun like literally on her head, and she looks at the girl. She's like, "I love you," and then it's just like blam.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Arlong shoots her point blank, and it's like it's really rough to see. I mean, I cried. Like this was like pretty dramatic, but really interesting, like really good storytelling. But it's not over yet. Arlong takes Nami with them, so he's just like, yeah, fuck you. It's not enough to kill Belmere. Like, I'm gonna take this girl, and you're gonna pay me for her. And kept Nami as a prisoner. So Nami was a prisoner with the Arlong gang for a while. Arlong discovered her knack for map making. So she that's her, again, her was the whole thing. Even at an early age, she was really good at making maps. And just was having to put her in a room, Beauty and the Beast style, and was like, you're going to make maps forever.
Got it.
So Nami resolved that she was going to fix the situation herself. She decided that nothing else can be done. This town has just agreed to and kind of kowtowed to Arlong for years. So she's going to strike a deal with Arlong. Again, she's still 12 at this point. She's not very old. So she tells Arlong, I'm going to join your crew, and I'm going to, in order to make enough money to buy the town back. And it's 10 million berries. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So Nami was returned to the village. Arlong agrees. He says, okay, 10 million berries. You got it. Nami returns to the village. This is another really striking scene where we see her kind of walk back into the center of town alone, and everyone's like, oh, Nami, you're okay. Thank God. And she's like, don't come near me. And she pulls up her shirt sleeve, and she shows this tattoo of the Arlong gang. She's like, I joined the Arlong pirates. I'm going to make a lot of money. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Calls her a traitor and immediately chases her out of town. So everybody till this day thinks that she just joined the Arlong pirates. The only person who knows the truth is Nojiko. So there's a scene where they're standing at their mother's grave, at Belmere's grave, and the two of them are talking, and Nojiko's like, can I talk you out of this? Nami's like, no. And she's like, well, why did you let everyone believe that? And she's like, because they would try to stop me. So, Nami's was totally fine, was okay with everybody hating her, her basically being abandoned. So she had to leave forever. So that was her whole thing. So she has been looking for basically just robbing pirates and stealing their treasure and then taking it all back to Arlong to settle this debt.
To pay down the debt. Gotcha.
Yep.
Got
So
it.
that's Nami. So fast forward back to the present. We go back to Usopp. Remember Usopp was stabbed? Actually, he wasn't. Surprise. So this is a really cool trick. So Nami stabbed herself in the hand. So she's so the scene is she's up against Usopp, so you can't see either of their faces. And she made it look like she stabbed him in the chest, but she actually stabbed her own hand. To have blood drip down Usopp's back, and then immediately pushed him into water, and then he just kind of sunk from the shock.
Gotcha.
So he's like, what happened to me? I'm Usopp. I'm a coward. Bah.
Also, I lie. Have I told you about that?
Yeah. Usopp does get his moment in this arc too. He actually comes to face with one of the fishmen lieutenants, and he has to fight the lieutenant, the fishman, all his own, and he's incredibly outmatched. And he does some cool Usopp shit where Usopp's whole thing, he has a slingshot and that's his weapon, which is obviously he can kind of do tricky things like blind people and, throw in flashbangs or something, but he's not going to kill anybody with a slingshot.
Yeah.
It's the slingshot in every video game. It's the practice weapon you get before you get the real weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So he has his Pikachu electrocuting Onyx in Brock's gym moment, and actually like takes down one of the fishmen, which is it's pretty cool. Anyway, so the main kind of plot line here is Luffy ends up catching up with Nami, and the two of them kind of come to terms, because this whole time Luffy's been like, Nami, I'll find you. You know, he's like really upset, right? Because he's been betrayed.
Sure.
Like, you don't fuck with Luffy. Like he's happy-go-lucky until someone, you know, betrays him.
Not, yeah.
So Image 23 is another. This is really good. I think this is again from the manga. Or no, this is actually scenes from the show. It's just a couple of scenes. This is a really iconic scene where Nami and Luffy are kind of coming to terms, and Luffy, like Nami, like for the first time, you can see her like finally being honest, and she's like through tears, she's like, Luffy, help me. And Luffy says nothing and like takes off his straw hat and puts it on Nami, which is really nice because again, you don't really, I didn't really set this up, but like Luffy like never removes his straw hat and like freaks out when it like blows off or whatever.
Yeah.
So for him,
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very symbolic. Like it's a really nice moment. He gives Nami his hat, and she knows exactly what that means. So he's like, and again, like Luffy's incredibly loyal. He's like, I will kill Arlong. Let's do it. And he winds up his gum pistol, and and then 10 episodes later, he beats up Arlong. So the Straw Hats successfully liberate the town from Arlong and the Arlong pirates. Nami officially joins the team as the team navigator and says she's going to help them find the Grand Line. And all is good.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. It ends with a very on-brand ending. So Nami being the thief that she is, she does kind of like an Irish goodbye to the town. At this point, they've been made aware what she sacrificed for them, what she did for them, and they all love her again. But they're like, Nami, please stay. You have to stay. And she's like, don't worry. And then she like opens up a jacket and she's got all their wallets. And they're like, you brat. And she like that was her like Irish goodbye because she didn't want people to miss her.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think that's kind of a neat moment. All right, so that's basically East Blue. I'm going to talk a little bit really quick about Logetown, which is kind of like less of an arc, more of an epilogue. It's really just like, I called it, it's kind of like a curtain call of this entire East Blue saga. So a little bit about Logetown. Logetown is the last town before the Grand Line. Therefore, it is a notorious spot for pirates to stop before making the journey to get the One Piece. Again, I mean, basically, this is like fucking going to Disney World. Like every pirate goes to the Grand Line.
Yeah.
So they've made a tourist attraction out of it. You know?
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about what the Grand Line is next episode, but just know like that's ultimately the journey here. Logetown is also the place where, if you remember Goldie Roger, that's the king of the pirates guy at the beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is where he was actually the plot device.
Told him about
MacGuffin.
the one place.
The one place. This is where Logetown is where Goldie Roger was executed. And this was the site at which he famously informed the world of the One Piece. So Luffy, much like a tourist, just wants to go and like be there, like on the gallows to be like where Goldie
He
Roger
wants to
was.
see the world's largest ball of yarn. That's what he wants to go see.
The most important bit about Logetown is really just setting up the Straw Pirates as the most notorious group in the East Blue, because now that following the events of Arlong Park, the Straw Hats are now officially on the Marines' radar, and the bounty for Luffy and the Straw Hats is set at 30 million berries. That number means nothing, obviously, but what that's supposed to represent is a pirate's notoriety.
Yeah.
And now Luffy and the Straw Hats are one of the most sought after pirates in all of the land.
Yeah.
And most definitely the East Blue.
They made it on the most wanted.
Exactly. That's what that's supposed to set up. We're also introduced, if you look at image 24, Captain Smoker, who is one of my personal favorites. Captain Smoker is the Javert of One Piece.
Boy.
This guy rules.
He super rules. He's always got 2 cigars in his mouth, and he's always smoking 2 cigars.
Well, and just like the arm strap of cigars.
Yeah, a bandolier of
Like
cigars.
Yeah.
So he's a major figure within the Marines. He's kind of the one that is going to be pursuing Luffy so he shows up again and again. Like I said, he's the Javert. He's also accompanied by his assistant Tashigi, who just so happens to look like Zoro's childhood friend Kuina.
Oh. It really is Wind Waker.
And so the other thing to say about Captain Smoker is he is the next person that we meet with devil fruit powers. He's got say it with me, the smoke powers.
Does he really? Is that real?
Yeah. He can turn into smoke.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's super rad. Yeah, it's super rad. And you know, you can't punch smoke. So like, yeah, Captain Smoker's really fun. I like him as a character a lot. But we just get a little bit of him. We'll see him again more in Alabasta. I also mentioned we'd see Buggy the Clown. So this is kind of a curtain call of all our early notorious bad guys. So we see Alvida. Remember Alvida? Iron Mace Alvida?
Yes.
Well, she's thin now, as you see in image 26.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, because we find out she also has devil fruit powers, and her power is to change her weight because, of course, it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
And what's that power called?
I forget, actually. Sorry, I didn't deliver on that one.
You sure didn't.
I'd have to look it up.
I'm thoroughly
it doesn't
disappointed.
really matter. She's not a huge impactful character. So Alvida and Buggy the Clown try to hang Luffy in the same fashion as Goldie Roger, and through some fun and crazy happenstances, or they try to behead Luffy. Sorry. Everybody thinks this is it for Luffy, and then a lightning strike, literally a strike of lightning hits the gallows and just blows up the thing up, and Luffy is fine, and they just are freed, and it's okay.
Good.
All right. Fine.
Yeah, Logtown ends with Luffy and the crew being chased by Smoker, but at the last second, they get saved by a mysterious figure calling himself Dragon.
Ooh.
And that's really that's the end of East Blue. So like I said, Logtown is the last bit before the Grand Line. So when we talk next episode, we're going to talk about Luffy and the Straw Hats adventure, first foray into the Grand Line. Before we cover that, though, there are more episodes I have here. So the first, I mentioned filler arcs. So we talked a little bit about Buggy's mini venture. There is another set of episodes called Warship Island. This arc is absolute trash. This almost made me stop watching this show.
Nice.
It's very bad. Do not watch it. It sucks.
Dang.
All right.
You heard it here.
Mm-hmm. The level of quality that between Arlong Park and Warship Island, literally, I almost was like, I'm not watching this show ever again.
Was there a writer's strike or something? Did something happen?
The difference is, Matt, this is manga episodes versus non-manga episodes. I mean, it's Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah, got it.
When
they went off book.
You lose, they went off book, because what happens is with a lot of these, and Naruto is the same way. All this stuff is based on the manga. So what happens is the show, just like Game of Thrones, will catch up to the manga, and then they just kind of have to tread water.
Yep.
They can't do anything that's worthwhile. So they just have to
Right.
do these stories that aren't canon, and they're always bad. I mean, it's no different than the classic thing with anime is an anime movie doesn't mean anything because it's non-canon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like that. So we're gonna stop there. Next month we're gonna cover the Alabasta saga, which I will say is a little not as good as East Blue. There are definitely some high points, definitely some low points too, to be honest. But all in all, still very good stuff. Final thoughts? I've got mine, but I'd love to hear what you guys have first.
Question before final thoughts. What
Sure.
episode-ish are we leaving off at?
That's fair. I believe I'm checking my notes here, so hold on.
If you have a rough year we're in too, I wouldn't hate that, but I understand that's trickier to peg down.
I don't know offhand. I might be able to find that. So the end of Arlong Park is the end of Logtown is episode 47.
Oh boy.
Okay.
That's a smaller number than I expected.
Yikes.
No, sorry, 53.
Still.
Better,
Episode
but still.
53. Yeah, so 54 to 61 is Warship Island. And again, we're just not covering that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to pick up on Alabasta at episode 62. And that takes us all the way through to episode 130.
Damn.
Okay.
And
All
that's
right.
where I am currently right now.
Cool. As far as final thoughts go, I enjoyed this story more than I expected to. I have said before that I've never been a big anime fan, and it's not for many reasons other than that I just don't love the
medium.
The medium, yeah. It's it's not even that it's animation. It's not even that it's Japanese storytelling. Just anime as a whole isn't my bag, but this story diluted down into 2 hours is cool, and I like that. Definitely not yet cool enough to make me want to jump the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
but
I'm similar to Matt. I'm on board. the only thing that probably kept like 14-year-old Kyle from getting into this was that I just wasn't super into like the medium of anime at the time. And like, but this is all interesting. I might watch this. We'll see. We'll see where my year goes.
I remember hearing too when I was in like middle school to early high school, or maybe before that, like elementary school into middle school, that One Piece was one of the bad ones. Like, don't bother watching One Piece because it sucks.
Not true.
But now I think what I'm understanding is that like 4Kids happened, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's a huge difference between the One Piece that my Dragon Ball friends were watching when it was on TV in the States and the One Piece that you're talking about from Funimation.
Yep, which is why I think part of why it didn't hit so hard as like Naruto and Dragon Ball did. Exactly for that reason, because 4Kids just like that was just like this would have so much been my jam in 2003. Are you fucking kidding me? Like that was the height of my like I have nothing better to do than to eat ramen and watch ramen anime all day. And I would have I think I would have rather watched this than Naruto, to be honest with you. I mean, I like Naruto, but I think I like this better.
Yeah, I would go with that. I mean, I think you all kind of summed it up that I didn't know this existed or very like barely knew it existed, and I might actually kind of watch this now. I like the energy that it's giving off, and the story is good. I like that story. Like when you had said that the fruit that gives people powers renders them unable to swim in a world full of water. Like that's pretty cool. Like that's a pretty good hook.
Yeah,
it's a good pitch. Mm-hmm. It's a solid pitch. Anyone out there who's listened to all this and still considering watching it, I definitely recommend it. We obviously hit the big plot points, but there's still way more that I didn't cover. The Treasure Man episode is definitely one of them. There's a lot of like side things that are happening, more characters there's a lot more.
I gotta say, I also like the devil fruit powered people aren't as prevalent as I thought. I thought it was going to be
we're going to see a lot more of them in Alabasta.
Yeah. Oh, and I get that. Like I get probably as it caught on, it got more and more.
Yep.
More and more ramped up. But like for this first few episodes, I thought it was going to be every, like the Pokemon thing. Like every new episode was a new like, he's got this gum power. Like
the monster of the week.
Yeah.
So Alabasta has a lot of like, well, actually, this whole time I have the eagle fruit and I can change into an eagle, and it's like that kind of thing, But we'll get there, baby. It's
all right.
It's all gravy. I'll leave kind of with my parting words. I've having injected this show into my fucking brain for the last 2 months. I've thought a lot about like, what would I say about the show in 30 seconds, and I think. It's not my absolute favorite show of all time by any stretch. I still like it's never gonna supplant. I always am gonna gravitate more to self-contained stories like Cowboy Bebop and Evangelion. But as far as like the Shonen Jump type of show, I think this definitely like dethrones Naruto. Maybe not My Hero, but that's a whole other day. But I will say this: I think the best way to equate this is like this is the Parks and Recreation of anime, insofar as it's the kind of thing that you can just have on and you don't have to give it your full attention all the time. Like you can just kind of look over and be like, oh fuck, Buggy the Clown. And and just kind of, dip in and out, and it ages very well. Like there are some like the traditional like pervy anime male and female bullshit, but that's also Japanese culture, so there's not really anything to do about that. Besides that though, like I think it's aged really well. It feels very timeless and kind of like Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball. Like it's just like it's fun, it's light, it's got some good story beats, but that doesn't happen all the time. Like it doesn't hit you in the face with all that. And I see here there's a Gordon Ramsay Zeph mashup, and that image is excellent.
I've gone real far down the wormhole of Chef Zeph here.
Todd's already watched 4 episodes.
Anyway, so that's all I'm going to say about that. We will be back next month with the Alabasta saga, and we will not spend so much time. We're just going to get right into it. We won't spend all that time setting up the scene. But until then, thank you all so much.
Wait, I have one question.
Yeah.
For people who want to catch up to where we are, where have you been watching this?
Netflix. It's all Netflix.
There you go.
Really? Wow.
Netflix has the whole English dub. Yep. And there's obviously like it's all there. You can listen to it in Japanese too if you want. If you're into that. I've listened to it. I did the first episode in Japanese on both. Actually, and if you don't have Netflix, Hulu has the Japanese only. So if you have Hulu without Netflix and you don't mind watching, you're okay with subs, you can watch it on Hulu as well. I watched both, like the first episode in both, and I think the English dub is very, very good. So,
cool.
But I'm a
Todd is
dub
going to
scrub.
be caught up by the time we get to the Alabasta saga. Methinks I see those wheels turning.
Listen, I'm running out of shows to watch. There's only so much. There's only so much internet in a life of quarantine.
Yeah, I mean it's as I've been working from home, it's something that honestly like it's just kind of always on. Not always, but if I'm like doing something at work that it doesn't require like my full attention.
You're punching numbers into a spreadsheet or something.
I definitely try 100% of my job all the time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to Debate This. As always, you can follow along with the arguments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Debate This Cast. Also, our website at debatethiscast.com. As we mentioned at the top of this episode was made possible by our lovely, lovely patrons. Thank you, Derek Harper, for sponsoring this episode. And
Debate This
next
Cast's
month's episode,
favorite Harper, Derek Harper.
the better Harper. We love all of our patrons. Thank you all so much for sticking with us and joining us on this grand adventure. If you're interested and if you want more Debate This content, check out patreon.com/debatethiscast. You can have unrestricted access to our premium feed, which is right now includes Forbegorf and the Office Drones, but will soon include a new project.
Woo!
At the time this comes out, it might already be out. I'm not sure. He's asking with a question mark.
I think so.
An episode of the new project will be out by the time this comes out. So we can probably talk about what the new project is.
Why don't you talk about it, Matt?
Yeah, so we are going to be debuting a new series, which we have lovingly dubbed The Plus is Loose, a Disney Plus watch-along cast. And we will be starting with The Plus is Loose, WandaVision. And it'll be a WandaVision quick recap show coming out the day after each new episode of WandaVision drops. So that will be coming out on Saturdays. And there are going to be plenty of gigantic shows doing Marvel watch-along casts. But if you want our specific takes and the things that we pull from it, this is where you can get it. And it'll all be on Patreon, patreon.com at debatethiscast, patreon.com/debatethiscast. And nice. I think that we will also likely have uploaded the first episode to the main feed. So maybe you've heard it already. If not, there's going to be more on Saturday.
Who knows?
Whomst among us can say.
Whomst among us knows.
This is my Disney Plus watch along. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
All right. Well, guys, until next time, I am Andrew Henderson.
I am Matt. In Pittsburgh, we call it the Gum Gum Band Fruit. Cole?
I am Kyle Buggy the Clown Harper.
I am Todd, currently Googling Chef Zeph cosplay Thomas.
And we're saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.
Just a lot of tall hats. That's all it is.
Oh my god.